This is a View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Tuesday, the 16th of September. No, it's not the 17th of September. My apologies. 2024. My name's Patrick Smith. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X. And you can download us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all of your normal podcast providers. If you're watching on YouTube and you enjoy the show, why not hit like and subscribe, all that good stuff, or drop us a review on the normal podcast stuff. On this week's show, the Belfast Giants had one game, and that one game was against the Dundee Stars. A bit of a battle. We'll go back and we'll have a chat about that. We're going to be joined in this show by Jeff Baum, George Awada, Drydn Dow of the Dundee Stars, because guess who we play next week? The Dundee Stars. And we'll also be joined by Banners in the Wall, Anthony Russell, who pop along to talk development. That'll be no doubt a fun conversation. If you're watching and watching live and you want to get involved, we've got the stuff down the side. You can get involved on Facebook or on YouTube. Send us a message, or on X if you want to send us a note. I'll keep an eye on that, and we'll have all sorts of fun as the show goes along. Mr. Majemsi, how you doing?
Yet to be decided, actually. How I'm doing.
Right.
First of all, two things. I've got to give a shout out to a guy who's listening for the first time. Big Giants fan from Lisburn, but he's only discovered the podcast, Jeff Hunter from the Old Warren. So big shout out to him. I promised him that. The other thing is, anyone who knows, but I was clearing out a cupboard at the weekend and I found 2 cases of beer. And not being a bit of a drinker, it'll be no surprise to you that they date from quite a while ago. So I have opened a case of them.
Is this a Sagres?
Have you ever heard of this?
How far back? Oh, yeah,
it went out of date in December 2020. So I'm going to give it a.
So if we could ask people who are watching live to start placing your bets, how long before Davy goes to Boke?
So I'm just gonna.
Is it alcohol free?
Yeah, probably not anymore. So I'll find another box that was out of date in June 2022. So I've gone for the oldest ones first. Just
weirdly that happened on the same brand as well when we went out.
No, the other ones.
No. I'm saying with my I had the same brand, the same. Without my very lucky, my father-in-law has a nice apartment out in the Algarve, and we went out and he says, "I've left some. There's some alcohol-free beers and there's some normal beers out there if you'd like some." I was like, "Oh, brilliant! Thanks very much." And I went and opened one. Just the smell of the beer was a bit weird, and I had a look. And this was basically last year, and the beer itself went out of date in 2014. And the non-alcoholic beer went out of date in 2015. So yeah, no, I didn't. I'm still alive. I didn't drink it. It was nearly 10 years out of date. All right, Marty, good to see you. How you doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me, boys. All good. Indian summer has arrived in Northern Ireland. Today was a great day, and thankfully I was off, so I made the most of it. Yep, got out for a cycle. Swim in Helens Bay in the middle of the cycle. Just a good well-being day I've had. Also,
I've just been
your bike wet?
Huh?
Does he not hate getting his bike wet?
So, yeah.
It's similar over here, mate. And as we discussed before we came online, I've been doing something called spunching. And it's basically orienteering in the peaks with a terrible name that sounds like I'm doing something really untoward. Doing it with friends Nick and Hannah, who were watching, so I'm saying hello to them. But running around the peaks for an hour and a half. And I'll be honest with you, boys, I'm knackered. So let's see how this goes. Let's get stuck in. The Belfast Giants had only just the one game at the weekend gone past. That was, of course, against the Dundee Stars, as everything tends to be at this moment in time. It was a 6-5 victory for your Belfast Giants. Let me just bring up the details. Cassetti opened the scoring, and it was Elmer who made it 1-1 in the game. And then Harms made it 2-1. And I will say, Marty, bravo, sir, because when the rebound fell, you said the rebound fell into Harms' way. And I thought, that was a good one on commentary. Well done. Kylie made it 3-1. Conway pulled it back to 3-2. McDonald extended the lead to 2 goals again for the Dundee Stars. They make it 4-2, but then the Giants came roaring back. Kawaguchi 4-3. Carpenter with the equalising goal 4-4. JJ put the Giants into a lead 5-4, and it looked, for all intents and purposes, that the Giants might take it, but just towards the end, the Harms with a power play goal made it 5-5. Kawaguchi popped up to make it 6-5 for the overtime win. Sabo 41 shots on goal, 6 goals against. Tom McCullum 32 shots on goal, 5 goals against. Your referees were Andrew Dalton and Vitas Lukasevicius. Mr. Majimsi, this was not just a real battle, but a very entertaining game.
Quite the game for the neutral. I don't like 6-5 OT wins because it's quite stressful. I think to break it down into periods, like we couldn't probably got off to a better start. Probably second shift of the game, we've come up with the go-ahead goal. Joe Cassetti again, hammering in and around the crease and getting his goal. And then we'll go on to an early power play. I think straight after that, Marty, if I'm right. And you think the game doesn't start much better than that, but then it kind of tipped a little bit. We were a wee bit loose through the neutral zone. We allowed them in behind us a little. The 2 breakaway goals, that a goal from a turnover, so we find ourselves 3-1 down. But as we did, we started on time in the first period. We started on time in the second period. Scott Conway coming up with that lovely wrist shot from the high slot. A little drop pass from JJ, but and the D-man just didn't get quite enough stick on it. And then there was a couple of really nice goals. One from Bobo Carpenter where he plays a little 1-2. I think that was the one afterwards. There's the break down the left wing, and it's NHL 98. You're passing across Royal Road for the tap in on the far post there, and then we'll go with a similar move where Robert Carpenter breaks down the right wing. I think it's Ben Lake possibly coming in on the left post. Ever so slightly gives the goalie the eyes that he's going to make the same pass again. Puts it top shelf, to put us in that. They obviously come back, takes it to overtime. I think in overtime, Tom McCollum came up big on 2, 3, maybe 4 big saves, and he had some big one-on-ones during the game as well. We'll probably give away a few more turnovers than we would like to. Defensively, offensively, I thought we were great. We came up with we were good in the red zone, but in our own blue zone, we're probably, I think Adam Keefe referenced himself, still a lot of work to be done there. Guys still getting to know each other, and if you're going to win leagues, you can't win games 6-5. You've got to be a wee bit tighter at the back end. But I thought, despite letting 5 goals in, Tom McCollum had a pretty strong game, and that's maybe a couple there that he would like a second chance to have another pop up. But all in all, I thought a good enough performance. Either team probably could have won on the night and felt like they deserved it. But I think the stickability, the sort of, we hung in there. We didn't get down on ourselves. We kept coming back. We kept making opportunities for ourselves. We worked hard, and a couple of bounces other way. Maybe the game's out of sight in our own ways as well. There's that one that falls into harm's way. I thought the podcast was going to be called that tonight when I heard that. But, I thought all in all, Kawaguchi coming up massive again with the 2 goals. That one in overtime where he drags inside and allows Mark Cooper the time to get in front of the goalie and get into his eyes, and then, backhand up over his blocker and wins the game and takes the 2 points. Crucial for us.
Marty, you were on comms with your new partner in crime up there, and it's been very entertaining as well. But one of the things I think Davey pointed out himself, defensive lapses, and it really at times we were letting Dundee back into this game.
We were. I think when we were controlling the puck in their in our offensive zone and their defensive zone, we were so focused on making the plays, keeping it, cycling it, trying to get the goal, and then once the turnover happened, I think there was just that delayed second where we just need to be quicker and react and get back. We were on our heels. They have some great defense who can make plays with Ben O'Connor, Drydn Dow. They were just hitting it straight up, and I've noticed this year with Dundee, their forwards are a lot faster, a lot more skillful. So we were just, I think we were just kind of caught unawares with how actually offensively good they were. I think Dundee played the perfect underdog game where they knew that Belfast, the Giants, were going to have the majority of the possession, and obviously Mark Lefebvre had instructed the boys, once we get that puck, we need to hit them on the counter straight away, and it worked. worked so well in the first period. 3-1 down, and they were obviously the happy camp going in there in the first break. Second period, Giants obviously Adam Keefe had wanted a response from his men, and who better than Scott Conway to respond the way he did. He gets a puck in that position. He snaps in wrists. Yeah, lovely goal, and then it's just got the momentum back in our favour. And there was always a goal or two in it until obviously we kind of equalised, and then got the go ahead goal and then game winning goal in overtime. I think out of actually looking at the goals, out of the 11 goals, probably 8 or 9 of them were top class goals.
Yeah.
Everyone was pinpoint. Obviously, a lot of shooting practice going on in both teams this week, so I was very impressed this early on in the season how good they were. But David, you both said it was an entertaining game. Sometimes I feel a Challenge Cup, teams can feel a bit looser. They can play a bit looser because they know it's not 2 points in the league, which, let's be honest, the main goal for every team is the league. So Challenge Cup, you do want to get every point because obviously you want to get that home advantage. But if you slip up a point or two here and there, it isn't the end of the world. But entertaining game, I loved it. I don't really enjoy winning 3-4 goals comfortably. I love battles because at the end, when you do come out victorious, it's so much sweeter, and you go, "Oh, that was such a great result."
One of the things as well, defensively, Davy, we'll come back to it, and we'll talk about that overtime period. Dundee certainly had probably the better of the chances, but ultimately it's putting the puck in the back of the net is what solidifies overtime. But not just Tom McCullum, who you mentioned, but Gabe Bast, I thought, came up trumps with some really good defensive plays that quickly turned into offense.
Well, that's it. Gabe turns the puck that way very quickly. He's got a good eye for that first up pass, that headman pass. But yeah, like Tom McCullum in overtime was exceptional. I think he had three one-on-ones that he saved from our own sort of, Marty sort of referenced at the start there, maybe over anxious to make plays going forward. And you don't always have to make those plays 200 feet from the opposition net, and we turned the puck over a couple of times in our own defensive zone that we wouldn't normally do. The guys are settling in. It's going to be okay, though. So at least we came out the right side of it. And, not too worried about that. I think Adam would be happy with the offensive output. These things to tweak at the rear end that he'll be working on, and I know with Jeff Baum coming on shortly, we can talk about what they've been working on recently. But as you say, you referenced Gabe Bass. I thought a great two-way game from him at the weekend.
And also, Marty, you look at what's come in from both sides. Obviously Scott Conway coming back into this side for the first time this season. They've also brought in the likes of Cameron Kiley, who I thought was really good for them. This is like a little series between us and the Dundee Stars, and that it concludes next week. What do you think that we've learned from the Stars in this 6-5 that we're going to take to Dundee on Saturday?
That they are a more aggressive, clinical attacking team than what they were last year. They're not to be taken lightly. I actually love. I know it's a bit like, oh, Dundee, here we go again, but you could see there was the little niggles going on.
Exactly.
Late. There's a couple of things. There's sometimes I was having to catch myself on because I was watching off the play about 5-10 foot behind, and then had to go flip that strike. Hopefully it's not a goal here because I don't know what's going on. I've been kind of watching what Ben Lake was doing, and then Mark Cooper, a couple of boys had words. But going back to what the Giants need to kind of deal with here with Dundee coming in this weekend. I mean, I was so impressed with Alberga, Elmer, Yamamoto, Seikos, Harms, and Keeley. Them forwards compared to the forwards that they had last year, I think they're very good. I think they're going to be a team that other teams are going to be worried about because they've certainly got their act together so far this season.
Let's have the post game, and then we'll come back with Jeff Baum.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, I thought we were great tonight. I like the composure when we got down to come back into that game, and we have that type of offense that we can do that. So it's good that the guys seen that they can do that, and they learned, to believe that when those. We don't want to be put in that position too often, but yeah, certainly there's work to do defensively. That's for sure. No, well, it's not sustainable. It's not how champions play. But it's still very early here. We're trying to get that under control. That's what it is. Hopefully we can do that sooner than later. Unfortunate that we don't get to go again tomorrow, but obviously we've got a long week of practice here to try to get better defensively, and if we do that, I think we're in a real good place. I think the guys proved tonight that they're capable of coming back in a game like that and making some real big plays. Obviously, a big finish there by Gucci in overtime to get us those 2 points that are massive.
I thought it was really run and gun for both teams. I think, both teams defensively gave up some quality chances tonight. Obviously, in the first period, we took advantage of some sloppiness on their side, to go 3-1, and then we got sloppy on our side in the second period, and we were on our heels for a lot of it. And, we weathered the storm, and we had a big goal there to get a big point on the road. Overtime, anything can happen. We had some quality chances. They ended up capitalizing on their chance there at the end. But all in all, I'm happy with the effort. We worked hard tonight, extremely hard. Obviously, the defensive side of the game we got to get a little bit better at. But we're going to score a lot of goals this year, as you can see in our opening games here. So big point on the road in a tough building. I've been coming to this building off and on for 20 years now, and it's all about momentum in this building. And, unfortunately, we give an early goal in the first and an early goal in the second. So something we got to have a better start with. And but you got to ride that wave when you come to a building like this. And against a team that's going to be competing for every trophy like Belfast, I think we matched them quite well tonight.
Big shout to Belfast Giants TV, and thanks to them for the post game and all that sort of stuff. Marty, before we invite our guest in, how's it going up in comms? You and you've had a couple of play-by-play guys, but last week it was Stephen.
Yeah, it's Stephen Butcher. Yeah, they're really, really nice guys. Stephen, fair play to him. I arrive in and he's got all the paperwork sitting. He's got all the stats information on each player. He's done his homework on the away teams as well. So he's taken serious and fair play to him. And he's learning each game. In between periods where we could chat, he would ask me, ask me about this, ask me about that. So he's willing to learn, and I think he's doing really well. Actually, there was one where I think it was third period. I had said, "Yeah, offside," and he goes, "No, it's not offside. Puck went into puck went into the bench," and I was like, "Oh, all right, okay, thanks for giving me your breakfast."
All right, Stephen, calm down.
But and then I called the game with Mark Strange. It was in the friendlies as well. So I've only met him once, but same thing. Yeah, nice guy. Just wanted to learn loads of stuff as well. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice to get with new faces. But yeah, hopefully Sis can get back too. Hopefully he can get all up the strength and back at it. Because big man, he's awesome at what he does.
No, it's been enjoyable, mate. It's been going really, really well, and more of that, hopefully. Right, let's get our first guest. We've been talking about the defense, and we're delighted. Well, you can tell from Davy's hat who's coming on. We're delighted to be joined by the reigning MVP of the Belfast Giants. Hoping for another great season, Jeff Baum. How you doing, mate?
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me out here. Davey, looking good. You sure you got it on the right way?
That's what I'm saying. Is it even the right way around? Who knows?
It says LFG in the front of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks good.
Look better now.
Right. That looks better. There we go.
I'm a cowboy.
There we
now
go.
It's on good.
Not the senior. Thank you, senior.
We had to check which Jeff Baum was coming on because there's two in Belfast at the minute. So
it's funny. I had to double check too. I had to make sure that it was me, not him.
Give us your take on the weekend about the one game. Give us a take on that game, that 6-5 overtime win against the Stars, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys summed it up pretty well. Pretty fortunate that we got the 2 points out of the weekend. I mean, Dundee's definitely going to be a competitive team all year. They've got that firepower, and just got to clean some things up defensively. That will take some time, some effort from the D and the forward side of things, and just trying to get connected as a 5-man unit on the ice, so that way we can limit the turnovers that we're having entering into the zone, and then be in a better position backtracking, so that way we're not giving up that many odd man rushes through a game. Because like Kiefer said, where we want to be at the end of the season, games like that aren't going to sustain. So we need to make sure we clean some things up. But ultimately, it's good to see the firepower we got on the offensive side and get some very important goals for sure.
Given the fact that we're having these games like against the Dundee Stars again, are you guys seeing this as a bit of a series? Is there a niggle on the ice because you're going to be playing these guys again next week?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been like that the last couple of years. I've noticed it's nice to get out there and get over to Dundee right away and get some of those long ferry trips out of the way. But they're always a hard team to play in their own barn. They their fans get into it pretty heavy. They play really well at home in front of their fans, and I think they really want to show out for them. So I think it's a good wake-up call to the beginning of the season playing such a hard-fought, hard-nosed team. So I think we just got to keep moving forward and hope for the best this weekend.
What sort of things, Jeff, are we working on? Because it's easy to focus and say we've made defensive problems and you look in your own defensive zone, but a lot of our stuff, it's 3-zone defense we need to work. We're giving turnovers away in the offensive zone, and they're having breakaways. We're one-on-ones. If Tom McCollum came up massive for us in the game, you talk about the goalie behind you as well. So defensively, it's a 5-man, 6-man defensive change that we need.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a team sport for a reason. Everybody's got to work together in order to get the best out of everybody. And I think, it's just going to take a little bit of time sorting through some system stuff that maybe some new guys aren't 100% used to. But, just going to take some effort from everybody and working together. And like you said, having Big Tom back there is, a savior. He had some massive saves that kept us in that game. And we try to do our best to be as clean in front of him so that he's able to see the game pretty easily and not have to focus too much and get too stressed out. So I think, working as a 5-man group and being a little bit more connected throughout the neutral zone, like you said, getting pucks deep is always important. It's hard for a team to score when they're 200 feet away from their offensive net. So I think that just getting back to the simple things that we know that works for our team and our system is the next step forward.
Jeff, I've noticed this season that coaching staff have chopped and changed players in various lines, but yourself and Josh Roach, you seem to be always together, whether it be first, second, third line, you guys are always together. How are you feeling playing with Josh? Because obviously last year he was out first half of the season, and then when he came back, you played a little bit together, and then unfortunately you took your knock. So these are looking good. How do you guys feel? Do you feel you're reading each other quite well so far?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've had some unlucky timings with injuries and not being able to get as much time as we'd like playing together. But for myself and Rochi, I think we're pretty well connected on the ice, and we're pretty well aware of where each other are and work together pretty well. I try to do whatever I can to help out my partner in whatever way it can be, and Rochi's the same way. And I think that combination of guys communicating to each other, trying to figure out what works best for each other, and then coming to the same playing field and helping each other out where we can, and where somebody else, Rochi's so good at moving pucks forward and finding those lanes that sometimes just giving it to him and let him work his magic makes my job a lot easier. But playing with Rochi's been a lot of fun. It's a blessing. It's a really good friend of mine and a really good teammate, and I think our connection's been pretty strong whenever we get the chance playing together.
Yeah, no, I think it works well. You're right. You always see, obviously, Roach just wants to go a little bit forward, carry the puck, and then you've always got his back, so you're always kind of cover him. So it's obviously nice for him to know that you're his kind of safety net there. But no, certainly DVD passing and up playing through, you're certainly the most solid so far on the day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just something we got to keep building on and keep moving forward. Like I said, beginning of the season, there's going to be some moving guys around and trying to figure out what works best for the team. And for myself, just try and be ready wherever I can so that I can help the team moving forward.
Jeff, talk to me a wee bit about happiness. I like that. I like guys. I like everybody to be happy, but
you love this bit.
The continuity of being in Belfast for what seems like forever now, but 4 years, is it? In a good way. I mean, not in a really good way. In a positive way. Sort of having this place as an anchor point. It's home now. Certainly during the season, settled off the ice. Having your dad over as multiple times as you can come. Like, that a happy player or a happy guy makes a better player.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I try to have a smile on my face as much as I can, and try and whenever things can be down, I try and just show up and be happy or whatever it may be. Just being there for a guy and when they're struggling, or when a guy's there for me when I'm struggling. It's just like I said earlier, team sport. You got to pull each other up when somebody's down, and at the same time, you got to keep everybody even when somebody gets a little too high. So I think that trusting in each other is important. Having that good relationship both on and off the ice as a full team. I think that's something here in Belfast that from my first year is always built. The foundation is there. It's been laid. The building blocks have been laid in front of us. And, it's our job each year to keep building that forward and to let the guys know that are coming in what the culture is here, what's expected. And, what is the old saying? Pressure builds diamonds. So that pressure and that foundation that we try and work for every year is just something we try and keep passing forward.
So then the question comes, after 3 years at the Belfast Giants initially, and then coming into your fourth, at the back end of the last year, you walked out, your arms are sore, carrying awards out of the building. Unfortunately, not trophies, but you've had those already, but the awards you carried as a player. So how easy a decision was it to come back and play another year here, or not go and try something else elsewhere?
Yeah, it was definitely a pretty easy decision. Like you said, Davy, Belfast has kind of been a second home for me and my family, and for my fiance Jamie. We've loved our time here together, and it's been an adventure, and it's been unbelievable. Even from day one, everybody's just been so friendly and so nice. At the rink, away from the rink, meeting people out on the streets. I mean, today me and my cousin went golfing, and we were just walking up, and two nice old men came and sat and talked to us for a couple of minutes. They noticed we weren't, locals, obviously, and just that friendliness has just been so welcoming here. And, there's not really many better places, if there ever is one, better than Belfast. So it's a privilege to be back for my fourth year, and hopefully can keep building forward, and we'll see where the future takes us.
You're going to have Davy in tears.
I love that.
Loves that.
Just don't talk about Gary.
No.
That's it. The one last question, obviously this game against Dundee, how's the prep going?
Good. I mean, it's we got a long week ahead of us. It's unfortunate we're not able to play 2 games. It is what it is. Just going to have to keep moving. But it's also a good thing. We get a lot of time to practice and work out those kinks that need to be fixed, and get up and down the ice better as a 5-man unit. So that way, when we get ready for this weekend and we're there, we're full guns a-blazing.
Nice one, Jeff. Listen, appreciate you coming and join us. Always great chatting with you, and we'll no doubt we'll bump in and chat again through the season, and give our best wishes to your dad.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your night. LFG.
Big thanks to Jeff Baum, as always. He had such a storming season last year, and hopefully we're in for another one this year. Right. And we continue, gentlemen. And we're delighted to welcome back a man who, as a player, won trophies with the Belfast Giants, and as a coach and part of the coaching staff, winning trophies. Also, one of our favorite people to come on this show, Mr. George Awada. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, doing really well, thank you. Doing really well. The standard question to open. What did you take from the 6-5 win over Dundee? This is a little bit of a series that we're having with Dundee. Unfortunately, we don't have 2 games next week. But what have we learned from that weekend that we can bring in next week?
Well, I'm sure everyone's dissected this game pretty well. We have been giving up a little bit too much defensively, but these past few games we've been able to score, not at will, but just when we need to, and get us back in and not feel the stress so much, especially from behind the bench. And we're we got 3 lines, so it's just like the next line's up kind of thing. And I think the forward group has handled it well. Obviously, our defense are pretty active as well, so they're helping all that scoring and that offensive threat. But it was nice to see. It was a good way to win those kind of games. Because you want to get these hairy ones. You want to get them through the system, so we're not come later in the year when we get down to games that really, these games matter, but just late in the season when we're making a push for whatever trophy it is. these kind of things build up a little, unity within the team, and it's also with the coaching staff, is the trust, and who's going to step up and do what when.
I think it's maybe something that Mark Lefebvre is saying as well as you guys in to see both teams have that character to go ahead on for the Giants to come from 2 goals down a number of times and then get it and then have to come again and get it just so early in the season with a whole bunch of new players. It must have been great to see from the coaching staff that you were able to get it over the line.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't want to. It's a hard way to win sometimes. When it's up to like a shootout or overtime. So it is that part is stressful. But yes, showing the resolve to come back, and then for them to push. I mean, they had good offense last year. They were very fast last year throughout the season, and they lost a lot, but they've been able to retain that kind of play, which has been tricky. It was tricky for us, a lot of teams last year. So it's like I said, it's a great test, good for us. We're not complete yet either. Jeff was saying, there's a lot of things we need to figure out as a group. But again, if we're on the other side, the right side of the win column, it's a bonus. And especially this time of year, the sooner you get as a group, our systems, the way we want to play and all those things, get those things sorted, it'll be kind of a smooth run into the meatier part of the season come November, December.
George, the way the fixtures have kind of fell over the last couple of weekends, and we're just going two 1 game weekends. That was easy for me to say. Is that would you rather be having 2 games at the minute, or is that kind of extra day give you a little bit of extra rest or chance during the week to iron out those kinks that you're still working on?
Yeah, you want these you want these towards the end of the season when things are kind of banged, players maybe are banged up, whatever it is, and it is crunch time. You need a little more rest. But guys should be fresh this time of year anyways. So it would be nice to be knocking games out when you can. But again, we have a couple little niggles thrown through the room here. So it is kind of nice to have this kind of a mini break this early just for that, because we aren't playing full strength but we're not far away from that. So again, once we, these Challenge Cup games are very important, and then we're just right around the corner next week. We got league. So we're getting closer to full strength. But it's also nice just to have, like I said, have this little space, a couple extra days where those guys can recoup and get better and hopefully get back in the lineup sooner. But it's the pros and cons. Obviously, the coaching, the teaching, all that process it's helpful this time of year to have the extra time to do it, and not having the challenge or the Champions League kind of has helped that. A lot of team bonding we've done and everything. So, it's hit or miss, but yeah, once you get the season going, you want to just get these games out and get going.
George, I think this is the first season where there's more Americans on the team than Canadians. Is that right?
You tell me.
How's that going down? Is it a bit of banter? Is it a bit of chat about it, or is it all?
No, well, it's nothing you do intentionally. But it's good to see. And I was thinking about that earlier today about all the Minnesotans on the team, and obviously
Kyle Osterberg, Grant mismatch.
Yeah, and even Gooch is kind of he's a Midwesterner. He's lived in Minnesota. He lives up in North Dakota, so he's kind of a half breed. I want to say so it's nice having that Midwestern touch. You can have too many of them sometimes, but just as long as you have the right ones, it's all right. But Kiefer's kept his mouth shut, but I think when things come down to it, he's going to bitch about these Americans when he can.
But no, I like their style of play. Obviously you were probably the most skilled forechecker I'd ever played alongside, and certainly Kawaguchi, Osterberg, them guys are certainly they're a bit like Mark Cooper in a sense where they're just going in, throwing them bodies in, but also highly skilled players. And I'm really happy to see more players like that this season. Was that a big recruitment drive, or is it kind of just fell lucky with their playing style?
Yeah, it's always every year you want to get these kind of guys, and sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. But we did want to address those kind of things. We're just having 200-foot guys, but smart hockey players that get in and do the right things and chip pucks when they have to. And there's there's a ton of hockey players out there, but just when it comes down to the end of it, you get the right references at the right time and the players available. And we've got lucky so far. I mean, they're good kids, they're good players, they're skilled, and they seem to work for each other right now. Like I said, pulling off big wins like that, and it's a good room. And that's what we try to get, just good character guys that do the right things. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But this is the first time I think we've had a lot of kids or players, say kids, that from like the NCAA type stuff. Obviously, the Midwestern schools, like whether it's the WCHA or the Big Ten, it's all these North Dakota kids, and Osti was up in Duluth, and I don't know that we've had a lot of players swing through, through Belfast from those kind of schools. So I'm familiar with it. I know Mace is familiar with the East Coast a lot, and again, we just like within the recruiting, we know, we talk to the right coaches that we know how they demand their players to play. And these guys, they've all come from good organizations and good programs where they've learned the right kind of the simple things of how to play hockey and be effective.
So then, why the change? So why are we getting them from these sort of schools where we haven't done before?
Well, it's just like I said, it's just if a player comes across and that's that player and that's where he's from, it's kind of luck. Obviously, having Basti come back was a huge catalyst because his connection with these guys. And I had coached Osterberg when he was 12, 13 years old back in Minnesota. Wow. And he had gone on, went through USA program, and then came back and then started doing, the juniors, and then played college. And again, he was training where I was training the whole time, where I was teaching, I guess, whatever. But yeah, so it is, one, and then there'll be another wave of youth sports kids that'll come through, like a couple of years ago, we had Rupert and those guys, so everyone, I think, it's ebbs and flows. And again, it is what you're looking for. You have a list, and whoever is the best fit for that puzzle. And like I said, it just so happened to be these guys were from, the same district or the same, college area. I know there's different conferences and everything, but yeah. And and again, even with, Joey Cassetti, he's they're out Western Michigan, but he had played in Waterloo, where a lot of these guys have come through that go on to the NCAAs. But I knew his coach. He was a coach. His coach in juniors was coaching when I was playing juniors, and he was old school as you can get. And he's just a legacy over there in Waterloo. And it's funny talking to these guys from the Midwest that have been through the Midwest where I grew up and played and everything, and just have these little connections. Cause it's a small world. Obviously, you guys know that, you talk about it all the time with the hockey stuff, but it's kind of neat to have that in our room now for me anyways.
It is a small world. You're absolutely right. But and you talk about these guys coming from Midwest and whatever, but how beneficial is it that you do come in and it is such a small world that you're traveling hundreds, thousands of miles away from your home, away from your family, away from the life that you had, to go and take a chance and go and play in Europe, go play in Belfast, go play in Sheffield, go play in Dundee. But when you go into the room and you're able to make connections, the home or if Kyle Osterberg, he goes in and he sees one of his former coaches is on the coaching staff, that brings a sense of calm and a sense of comfort to a player who is thousands of miles away from home. Yeah.
I mean, obviously these guys know what they're doing; they're professionals, but it is one connection that's helpful. You don't want to make it too lovey-dovey in there and stuff, but it is a nice thing to have when the type of player, and then it's that trust factor. And that's just kind of way the game is now, just that connection with the players. And it's not so much fire and brimstone. It's just, you gotta talk and connect with these guys on the right levels. And Kiefer does a great job with that every year. And it doesn't matter, I guess, where they're from, and it helps to have Mace, he knows these guys from the East Coast. Like Lee, he's from Connecticut, and they can talk about all their junior coaches, like me, Cassette, all these guys. So it just having those connections, yes, it makes the room gel a lot better from our connection to the players, but also within their little network that they have.
One last question for me, and we'll let you go, George. I really do appreciate your time. Is, when you come into a season like this, and, obviously last season, no silverware for the Belfast Giants, given the success we've had previous. Is there a change in coaching approach do you guys look at what you did last season? Because obviously we've got a number of players coming back in, but we also have a number of players staying from last season. So do you guys get together and say, right, we're changing our approach here. We're going to do this a different way. We're going to have different tactics. We're going to do this. Or is it just a case of hockey's hockey and you get out there and win?
Yeah, no, I mean, there is reflection of what happened last year, obviously, and we tried to address that with our recruitment. And now our approach is that we have a little longer runway into the season, where we've had that without having Champions League, where last year we kind of just threw everyone into it. And we did well with it, but it was a different lead up, I think, than this team's had for a while. And we were able to do some different things, but it's the same thing as pounding home our foundation. And like Jeff was saying, it's been a culture for a while. And it's our expectations, and Kiefer's been pushing that forever. It was when I was playing with, Marty, way back then. It's all the same stuff, but we're not looking to change anything. We just want to start as we mean to go on here. And we've had some good quality time with the guys on and off the ice, and we've have good start to this Challenge Cup thing. But again, it's, you saw last game, it could go either way. So we just got to keep pushing the pedal and getting these guys up to speed with the way we play, the new ones anyways. And even the guys returning, Basti and Cons, it's different from what they were doing last year. But again, those are guys you can lean on in that room. And then just hopefully things go the right way. We just don't want to hit that injury bug like we did last year. Nothing we can do about that, but as long as we have the guys on board and doing what we need them to do, anyone can step up. And we've been seeing that these last few weeks with the 3-man, three lines, and even 5D some games, 4D. It's been crazy, but they're good type of players. They just step up and do it. They don't complain. They show up, and they're producing right now, which is it's nice. It's nice to see.
Well, listen, good luck this season, mate. We really do appreciate you coming on and joining us, and good luck this weekend against the Dundee Stars.
Yeah, no worries. Good chatting with you guys.
Yeah, sure.
Right,
big thanks to George Awada, as always. Really great to have him on the show. And you said yourself, Marty, and me and Davy said it many a time, one of the best, if not the best, forecheckers we ever had at the Belfast Giants.
Yeah, without a doubt. He was so good, so much energy, big body, and then he turned up, put the puck home in the power play, then straight back out for short-handed. He just could do it all. He was always the first name in the first line every time. Certainly when Courtney was coach that time.
Yeah, that's a great player, and a great to have him as part of the coaching team here with the Belfast Giants. Right, we're cracking on. As we said, the Belfast Giants will face, let me just check the fixtures list, the Dundee Stars. Will be playing them on Saturday at the Dundee Ice Arena. Saturday or Sunday? Saturday. Yeah, we're playing them this weekend at that Dundee Ice Arena once again. We're delighted to welcome back his 6th year, I think, in Dundee, and his 4th year as captain. Please welcome back to View from the Bridge, Drydn Dow. How are you doing, mate?
Hey there, how we doing?
Good. Are we playing Saturday or Sunday? Do you know?
It's Sunday, I believe. So yeah.
My notes are wrong. So first of all, when we had you on I think last season, and I love that picture behind you. Is that the one of Theo Fleury? Brilliant. Love it. We've talked about it through the show, the game that took place on Saturday in Belfast, the 6-5 win, a bit of a battle back and forth. We've learned a lot about our team. What have you learned about your team?
Yeah, our team especially, we have a lot of speed this year, and I think we put it on display in that game. Especially, we're a fast team in transition, so we expect to be in games every game this year. We expect to compete with any team. We're pretty confident with our team, and one thing I noticed a lot so far, especially in the first couple of Challenge Cup games here, is the depth of our team. We've got 4 solid forward lines and 6D that can play pretty much all games. So it helps a lot having that depth, and yeah, I feel like it was a strong start for us, and we just need to start piling up some wins.
Do you feel there's something new? Do you feel there's something different happening in Dundee this season, given that depth?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's good to see. We had a couple of young guys step up already, like Johnny McBean. I know the first game we played against you, he had a nice 3-point game himself. So yeah, it's good to see some of our younger guys step up, and just having the depth, it makes it easier to roll lines and gives us a chance to compete with those top teams. So.
Drydn, talk a wee bit about the relationship with our good friend Mark Lefebvre, obviously the Jackie Moon of Dundee Stars, head coach, GM, whatever, drives his Zamboni probably. Well, how good is it to have a really good relationship with him for both on and off the ice?
Yeah, no, he just knows how to run the room. Obviously on ice, he's hard on us and expects us to bring our A game, but he's really good at separating the on ice from the off ice. He's very personable and cares about your off ice as well as the on ice. So yeah, he makes it really easy. And from last year all the way to this year, we hit it off right off the bat. So yeah, it's been an easy transition from having different coaches before to now having Mark, and he just wants to bring the best out of us. So he's been a great start for the coach, and yeah, no, honestly, just I see good things in the future with him. He's brought in a good core and was able to bring some guys back from years past, which was key, because we haven't had that in years past where we brought back a full complement of teams. So having guys return and having them understand the game already, it's been key.
Hi, just before you go there, Marty, just on that, with Jeff Baum on shortly before you, and we were talking about the continuity of, he's here 4 years now. I think did Paddy say 6 years for yourself in Dundee?
Bit of a break, but 6 years in total.
And you're talking about different guys coming back for repeat seasons. How important is that continuity, both on and off the ice, to have a sort of settled home away from home, if you like, and just to be able to know where you're going to be?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It makes it a lot easier just knowing the environment you're going to, knowing what to expect. Obviously, for some of the new guys coming in, it is a bit of a culture shock with all the travel and stuff, playing back-to-back games. I know a lot of teams in Europe, they play the Friday-Sunday schedule. So coming over here and having that back-to-back schedule, I know it's a bit difficult for people at first. So having that experience and knowing what the league's like, it makes a big difference. And when you have a bunch of guys returning, they are easy to lean on, and they're good guys, like role model guys that other new players can lean on and use as support systems throughout the season. So,
Drydn, you touched earlier there about the local guys. I think Dundee probably nailed it when it comes to getting the balance right with British players, local players, and imports. Obviously Mark has obviously implemented that as well. Do you just feel now that the local British guys have just mixed in along with all the imports, and it's just making the group a lot more solid and content, obviously, compared to, say, a couple of years ago, where guys were a bit naive to the league, where now it just seems, as you said, McBean, they're finding their feet, they're producing points, and then obviously bringing in Ben O'Connor as well, where like yourself and Ben, you're just heads up hitting them speedy wingers, and you caught us on the break 2 or 3 times at the weekend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, bringing in Johnny has been a great move for us. He's a local guy here, so you always want to keep the Dundee boys in Dundee, that's for sure. And giving him the opportunity, it's been really good to see. Seeing him play with some of the imports, just stepping up into that role, it's been really great. But even guys like Chris Ingles, Craig Moore, Craig Garrigan, they've stepped up a lot this year. You see improvements with each of these guys every single year, and it's just fantastic to see as they become more accustomed to the league and stuff. And Craig Moore even moving back up to forward this year, a bit of a change of position for him. It's amazing to see how much he's already just gelled into that position. And then, like you said, bringing in an experienced vet like OC, that's just huge. It's big for Dundee to get a guy of his caliber, and that he's come over and signed for 2 years. It shows the vision that Mark has, and it shows that we mean business over here in Dundee.
Yeah, the next question was going to say that not that you weren't taken serious, but this year, everyone's kind of opened their eyes and thought, well, Dundee have more or less up their game. They want to compete. They want to get higher up the league. Maybe want to try and pinch one of the cups. Is that kind of been the goal from where obviously different teams have realistic goals. Is that the way you kind of feel it's been set out for you this season?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, every team's goal is to win at the end of the year. Like going into the year, you're crazy if you don't believe that you have a chance to win. But obviously, you do have the 4 big teams that are expecting to compete for the league every year. But our main focus is winning the playoffs. In hockey, the most countries, the most important trophy is that playoff victory. So for us, winning a playoff championship is the main focus, and we definitely want to put ourselves in a good position, because obviously last year we just snuck into the playoffs, ended up having to play one of the top seeds, where if you're putting yourself in a higher position, you're giving yourself a better chance to make it to that Final Four and giving yourself a chance to win the playoffs. So we have a lot of high aspirations and see ourselves competing for a top 4 spot in the league this year, as long as things go our way. So.
As we said, the six years in Dundee. What you did, you dipped your toe back in the coast and played a bit of Slovakia as well. But you have something in common with Jeff Baum, which is he came out of uni and went straight first year pro in the Elite League. As did you. You came out of U Sports at Calgary and go straight into the Elite League. How difficult was that? How difficult was that transition? Because it's now not uncommon. We have quite a few players now who are coming straight from NCAA or from U Sports and going straight into Elite League competition.
Yeah, no, actually it was decently seamless of a transition. It's similar in the fact that most of the games are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so mostly weekend games. So that was easy in that regard. It's just the amount of games, the amount of travel. It's a little bit different in that regard, and then the style of game is a lot different. So when you get to the Elite League or the pro levels, you notice the game almost becomes a little bit more coordinated. People are smarter with it, whereas in the university level, it's a lot more hard work, like getting in on the forecheck. It's a bit more scrambly, and it's a little bit just different in that regard. So for me, it was just a matter of trying to slow my game down a bit, almost like being smarter with my game, trying to develop different techniques. So it was actually like not too bad of a transition. It was just more getting used to like the different level of skill, because you will find that the players in this league are top level now. Like there are some really skilled players in this league. So just working with them and being able to work off them is the important part.
And I know you were sitting in the background when we were chatting to George Awada, and one of the things he said, about players coming from different directions, and he mentioned the U Sports direction. We sort of anticipate that there will be a time when there'll be more players coming from that, and we've had the preseason games just a few weeks ago against U Sports. I was about to say CIS, not CIS anymore. U Sports opposition, and the quality coming through there is good. Do you anticipate we'll get more coming from that direction into the Elite League or into Europe in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's almost ebbs and flows. My first year, I feel like a lot of people came out of U Sports that year. Like you had a couple guys with McFall and a few other guys. So I feel like there's ebbs and flows, and you just see the talent and the U Sports, I guess, and NCAA, even how much skill is in that level. And they're all players that are ready to step up. It's players that wanted to go in a different direction, maybe get their education before trying pro instead of just going straight out of junior. So there's plenty of players that could have made that step and decided to just take a step back and do their university, get their schooling done first. So definitely I could see a lot of players coming out of those leagues, and I mean the hockey world, it's a big world, and there's a lot of players that probably aren't going to get the opportunity to play pro that should have that chance. It's just there's not that many jobs out there, and like there are a bunch of skilled players out there that are looking for their opportunities. So
That's a good point. And also, like with regards to Kendall McFall or Josh Roach as well, all you guys coming from that direction. One last question, Drydn. Obviously, this is the last. This is the last of this little series that we appear to be having against the Dundee Stars. How do you anticipate Sunday's game to be?
Yeah, no, I anticipate it to be something similar to the last. It's going to be exciting games against you guys. I think all year you guys have a high skilled team over there, and we know that any chances we give up, it's going to be a deadly chance for you guys because you are very opportunistic, and it seems any turnovers for us, you seem to find a way to put it in the back of the net. So we just got to make sure that we play within our structure mostly, and not give you those chances. And I fully expect it to be an exciting game to watch.
Fantastic. Listen, that game is on Sunday at 5 p.m. at Dundee Ice Arena. Drydn Dow, we really appreciate you joining us again here in A View from the Bridge. We're not going to wish you well for Sunday, but we do hope you do hope you do chase that playoff dream with the Dundee Stars. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Big thanks to Drydn Dow for coming and joining us on A View from the Bridge. Always good to have him on. I do love that picture behind him. It's really good. Calgary native. Went to University of Calgary and a big picture behind him of the Calgary Flames. Can't beat it. Right, we're going to go back a bit. The other week we had Mark Lefebvre on, and we were talking about the different sort of development, and we're talking about goalkeepers and various legs. And we had a barrage of messages. Do you say that? A barrage of messages from a good friend of mine, and a man who's steeped in regards to the lower leagues in the NIHL and whatever. He used to be an elite league fan with the Basingstoke Bison, but we'll dip into that in a second. We're going to talk a little bit about development and hear his opinions from Banners on the Wall. Our good friend Anthony Russell. How are you, mate?
Patrick, gentlemen, good evening. I don't have a club, but I do have a green Rocky in celebration.
Green Rocky, a green Rocky. Nice one, mate.
Yeah,
nice one. I think where we'll start is, obviously we're going to have a conversation about the British players and what's coming through and what we can expect and the likes. But ultimately, I'm going to start with one question. Anthony, who's responsible for the development of British talent in the British leagues?
Everyone. Every coach, the player themselves, the support staff of the teams that they're playing for, everybody is responsible. Ice Hockey UK are responsible for it. The Elite League management are responsible for it, because every team, every league, the national team program wants the absolute best product and the best players it can get. It is everybody's responsibility.
So then, is it succeeding or failing?
It's succeeding by luck more than by design, I think, is probably the thing I say. So, let's be honest. I mean, the strides being made in the Irish hockey program aside, Great Britain ended up in the world group of the IIHF World Championships, and it deserves every bit of credit for it. Pete Russell deserves a lot of credit for it. Corey Nielsen, all of the guys who did it, the players deserve the credit for it. But it never felt particularly coordinated in the way that it happened, I think is probably the best way I would describe it, looking from below, because we had, and I don't think it's unfair to say, we had a bit of a golden generation of players that came through. I watched Ben O'Connor playing Basingstoke all those years ago, and we're at that point now where those guys, not unreasonably, are getting a step slower. They're getting a bit older. Their hair's starting to look like Davies, and like Davy Phillips, not unreasonably, for a friend of this show, well known in Belfast. Well, he's now player assistant coach back home in Hull, because the time has come for Davy to do something different now and look whatever comes next for him. That golden generation never lasts, because it doesn't. And, hockey is cyclical. Drydn just alluded to that. But we could be doing better at making stuff come through. And that is an everybody thing to work on, if everybody actually wants that. I think is the way I kind of sum it up at the moment. Ultimately, I think the Elite League has an identity crisis and needs to decide what it wants to be.
Why don't you just play us out on that before I ask you a question, Anthony? Talk about that identity crisis and what's your opinion on that?
I think the Elite League kind of needs to decide really well and truly what it is, because this big conversation that we have about player development, and I hear from so many people at both sides of this, of the Elite League National Division divide, right? And people say that the Elite League is a busman's league, it's a holiday league for imports, it's got nothing to do with British development. And people say that, I've heard people say the National Division, it's poor quality hockey. It's not, by the way. But it's for a place for the people who aren't good enough. The cream will always rise to the top, and the cream ends up in the Elite League. Now, the National Division is still relatively young, post the collapse of the EPL. We're only in season 5 now, has just started. The Elite League, for all of its detractors, all of its naysayers, all of the criticisms that I think are justifiable about the Elite League, stuck around. It's still here. But what is its goal? Is it making players for the national team? Is it bringing in dual nats and having guys? I'm not against dual nationals. If somebody like Ben Lake wants to go through the rigmarole of getting himself a British passport and putting on a British jersey, more power to him. But what is the Elite League's goal? Because if the Elite League's goal is just be good, be entertaining, then it needs to figure out for me 2 things. One, if it really wants British players, it needs to do something about the British player bit. And if it doesn't, go back to being the Super League, get rid of the import limit altogether, and just bite the bullet and go on with it. And if it does want to, help develop things for the national team, and it wants to be this shining beacon, which it is for a bunch of different things, like the Elite League deserves credit for the things it does well. The introduction of NCAA and U Sports players that's filtering down into the lower levels in the NIHL. There's guys from the ACCA signing in South One. Like, the door has been open for people, but the Elite League needs to, like I say, it just kind of needs to decide what is it? Because I think ultimately a lot of other top European leagues in this country understand that ultimately developing players from its own nation to make its national team program better, if it's not the primary goal, it's at least second. I don't know off the top of my head what the goal of the Elite League is, bar surviving. And I think that ultimately holds it back.
It's even from my own perspective as a fan, Anthony, it's very difficult because first and foremost, I want the Belfast Giants to hang banners every season. That's my number one goal. But I've never had better nights at the rink when I'm watching Mark Morrison or Max Stewart or rhyme off Gareth Martin, a guy who's become a friend. These guys from Belfast hold something extra special to the fans for a guy from your hometown rink. Because I'm not good enough to go and play for my hometown team, what better guy to get behind than the guy from my hometown that's able to? But you've also got to balance that with we want a lot of shiny stuff at the end of the season as well.
Does everything have to be a right now thing? I suppose probably becomes my question. Sport is about winning. Let's not make any bones about that. Somebody has to come first. Somebody has to come last, right? That's the nature of sport. We're finding that out very quickly in the National Division this year with some of the results from the first weekend. But there has to be a long view to it, right? And I think Belfast deserve more credit than some, because Belfast have effectively set themselves up to be an ECHL organisation that plays on the island of Ireland, right? Like, you've seen the things, like everybody remembers that viral TikTok video from last year. And it's not to blow the horns of anybody particularly, but it's because it's an objective fact. Belfast is a really well-run organisation. The Elite League as a collective confuses me, I think, is probably the thing I'd say. But I say that as an outsider. Of course, I cover the National Division. I cover Division 1 and Division 2. So I'm looking at 5 divisions constantly. I have those networks. I kind of get a bit more of where things are going. And maybe this is because, and it's not a deliberate, like, I hate the Elite League. Hockey is hockey. Like, I'm commentating in the Elite League now. I've got to pay attention to it. But I think there's just some things that just thoroughly confuse me about the way bits are set up about it, albeit I think the recent stuff on 2 ways, I think is a really, really good move. I think it's really good. It breaks a bottleneck that I think existed for far too long at the Elite League, and actually using the Challenge Cup for kind of what it is, which is like the warm-up on steroids.
Funny you just said that, Anthony, about the 2 ways. I was going to say that one big positive this season, and I think it is progressive by the Elite League, is the more two ways that we can have that won't really affect the roster. Certainly, Giants have never had 6 two ways before. I think Sheffield have overloaded there as well. So do you not see that as like a bit of a progression? Do you not think that that's going in the right direction? Obviously, David touched. You want to have silverware. You want to be successful. Obviously, these clubs want to run as a business, but do you not think this is? You'll probably say it's a small step.
Oh, I think it's much more medium step, Marty, if I'm 100% honest. It's bigger than I think people are giving it credit for, because it does come with a caveat. Got to play them. You've got to play them when you've got the opportunities to play them. And I think back to when we had this conversation when Mark Lefebvre was on. And again, massive respect for Mark Lefebvre and massive respect as well for Simon Kitchen as well. Simon said, that they're not ready to step up to play 12, 14, 16 minutes a night. You're right, because they've never been given the opportunity to have 2, 4, 6, 8 minutes a night in the role, in the way that they play their game, because nobody's thinking that far ahead. Nobody's looking at that prospect. And ultimately, if the Elite League wants young British players to come through, they've got to set them up to succeed to do that. And ultimately, opening this door is fantastic. I think in this way, seeing people, and it's not just, like the 5-a-side football team you lot have signed, and Sheffield just going the whole hog and buying another team. But guys like Archie Salisbury with Glasgow, Archie's a fantastic young prospect. And, and we all know that playing for a team that is a bit lower down the table is an opening of the door, because there's a higher chance that he'll get minutes. It's guys like Ollie Endicott at Nottingham, because Danny Stewart had him guest a couple of games last year for Coventry, and now the door's open. Brindley Caps played about, I think it was about 4 or 5 minutes of time on ice the other night, and I was like, it's a start. It's a start. Like it's better than we've seen in the past. And guys getting 45.
It's a start. Yeah. Sorry to cut in, Anthony, but you're right. It is a start. But the problem comes that it's either you can't have it both ways. You can't bring these guys in and say they're only playing 3-4 minutes a game. They're only doing a shift. They're only doing 2 shifts and saying that's not developing, when they could be getting first team in the NIHL. And so they need to be, for lack of a better term, they need to be ready. They need to be, when they come into the Elite League, they need to be ready to be in the Elite League. They need to be able to take their chance. And like you look at Sean Norris, he got the chance, he took his chance. And okay, the second season wasn't that great for him, but now he's still within the Elite League. He's playing for Guildford. But the player can't be, we can't just go into the NIHL and say, right, we're picking these guys up for the sake of it because, inverted commas, development. It has to be the right player. And the player has to be of a standard that is good enough to come. We talked about, I've spoken to you about some of the two-way players we've come in from Telford and these are guys who are doing it really well.
17 years, Patrick.
I know, mate, but if the players aren't ready to come in, then what happens is they come in, they do 2 shifts, and then the complaint is, what's the point? They're sitting on the bench most of the time.
You're right. There's a line to walk, but I think there's a tiny bit more nuance to it than that. That a couple of weeks ago, when Simon was making his point, somebody stuck in the comments and in the chat, and I remember this really, really vividly. It's like, well, Milton Keynes played Coventry and lost 10-2, so the guys who are on 2 ways are the ones who should be on 2 ways. Well, yeah. Like, I'm not saying we need to drag everybody kicking and screaming. Let's be 100% honest. There are some guys in the level below that are never going to be Elite League quality. They're just not. That's just not the way it is. Life will get in the way. They'll pull a talent muscle and not be of the requisite quality to kind of do it. My argument is that there are more than I think people appreciate, but there is an element, there are 2 aspects to this. And actually, I think we need to flip the model on its head. Everything is very club-centric. We need to make it player-centric. What is best for the players that we have in our player pool? If the Elite League is going to maintain that it wants to have British players in its lineups, then coaches need to get involved in developing them. There needs to be conversations between Adam Keefe and Tom Watkins about Rhodes Mitchell-King, who is arguably probably one of the finest defensive prospects in this country. Rhodes is incredibly good, and he should be pushing on. And having a 2-way this year is a really good thing. Is he ready for the Elite League right this second? Could he play 15, 20 minutes right now? Probably not. Could he play 5? Yeah. Probably. And if you're going to play him on a Wednesday night game in Coventry because, you're a couple of guys down because you're hurt, then play him. This is the thing as well that irked me about something that Mark Lefebvre said. It's the only thing that really made me cross. He talked about trusting players. If you do not trust that player to do their job, they should not be on the bench. Simple as that. Simple as that. If you don't trust them to do the job, they shouldn't be on the lineup. The only exception there is probably your backup netminder, and netminding is a slightly different beast. But if you're going to sign a guy, sign him so the opportunity will arise that you play him, because they'll get better. And you send a better player back down to the NIHL to then get better, to then come up and have another game and be better, and then get better, and till eventually the point when that bouncing stops and they can land in the Elite League doing the job that they're best at, rather than the big criticism of the Elite League, which is trying to turn every high-quality Brit into a fourth-line grinder. That's not a fair criticism, but it is a criticism people make.
So let me bring in the only person of the four of us who's had experience in actually being part of this, and Marty. Marty, how difficult is it? How difficult is it when you are in that position? You want more minutes. We've joked about the conversation with Ed Courtney, and you wanting those more minutes. But how difficult is it when you've got the potential, you want to get those more minutes, and you want to get that time out there, but the coach's focus, especially in the Elite League, is winning the game, and he might see you as basically taking a chance.
Yeah, well, that's it. You're riding high in confidence, and then during the week, and you're just mixing the lines, and then comes game night, and you think you've got a shot of getting a bit more ice time, and then you kind of doubt your ability. So that was a hard one to kind of stomach, but I also know that he's got a job to do, and if he's got 3 lines of essentially import players, he's obviously going to trust them before me, because he signed them, he's put them on the big bucks, and you know what, it did take you a little while to realize that, okay, well, this is his job on the line too, and I've got to accept this.
And so then you've got experience with the likes of, knowing the likes of the Hamels and Mac and stuff like that. And, these guys are, coming in the 2 ways and getting that opportunity as local lads. But at what point do we say, going back to the comment I just made to Anthony, at what point do we say they're ready? Are they ready? Or is it a case of we have to sort of make them ready by bringing them in and giving them more experience in the Elite League?
Yeah, I think obviously they're going to keep an eye on what they're doing with their clubs, liaise with their coaches, and then when they come in, if it's safe to do so, Adam will play the boys, whether it be Mac, whether it be Carter. Let's say use them for examples. I don't think he'll throw them out there essentially at the start of the game. Yeah, it's true. Look, the two-way is good because it is letting the boys be part of the environment essentially first, and then obviously give them the odd shift or two. But look what happened when the likes of Mac got a couple of opportunities there, and I know they were only friendlies, but he ended up with 3 points. He showed what he can do, and he was playing with great players, so he was feeding off them as well. Look, there's an argument for it all, but I just think in this game, if you've reached this level, you do have ability, and then if you can keep on feeding that confidence, as long as your confidence is riding high, then you could be doing the business like what McDean did for Dundee a couple of weeks ago against us, getting 3 points.
Yeah. So then, and let me just come back to you, Anthony, with a comment from Kevin Madden that sort of rolls a grenade in here. He says that he'd argue that the coach's first and only priority is silverware. I understand the Brits can assist with this, but ultimately, if there are only limited Brits available, then you have to reach stack up on imports.
The issue, Kevin, is that there are not limited Brits available. There's a lot of them there that are more than worthy of being taken the chance on, that teams could do something with over the make them projects. Make them projects. To say that a coach's only job is to win silverware,
you can't make them projects, mate. You can't make them projects, mate. Like there's the Elite League is there's money involved here. There are games involved here. There's stuff that has to be done. There are games and titles to be won. You can't just have a pet project that you think you're going to like. I see a guy who's playing in Leeds and I think he's got a bit of potential, so let's throw him out for 5 minutes a night. It just doesn't happen. It can't happen.
The best British netminder of this generation was a project. Remember that. Ben Bounds went to Hull on a whim.
I thought you meant Stephen Murphy, mate, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's who you meant, okay.
Stephen Murphy is the generation before, I would argue, gentlemen. But the best one of this generation is Ben Bounds, and Sylvain Cloutier took a chance on him. He stuck him in, having been very, very high quality in the English Premier League at Sheffield, and he took the chance. This is the thing, like, you can ultimately the Elite League runs itself. If the Elite League wants to change something, change it, make it better, right?
So they ask a question on that. Ben Bounds was taking a chance on at Hull.
Mm-hmm.
One, and I don't mean this any disrespect to Hull. One of the big clubs didn't
in Belfast, yeah.
at that time. One of the big clubs wasn't willing to throw Bounds in for a number of seasons. If you were if you were at the IHL table, would you talk to them about lowering the import level?
100%.
To force that change?
Yes, 100%. The import level should be 12. As an absolute, I'll give you 13. I'll negotiate. I'm not an unreasonable man, after all. But the import level should 100% be lower.
So we're kind of saying in Belfast there. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, the only way you kind of get away from this, I think, and I think actually, and like I said, I have to give them credit for this, and I do chuckle just because there was a Hull Seahawks fan who came across my social media feed and said, "Oh, Sheffield have only changed this rule because they bought themselves a team that got a load of two ways." Yep, probably, but it works out for everybody, so we'll take it, kind of thing. The rule they've got this year, I think, is really good because what this is offering, like the criticism that Patrick has there, is that there isn't the chance. There isn't the chance to do these bits and pieces that I think, one, are possible and two, should be done. So this is actually this is kind of the step between those two worlds a little bit. You're not giving up roster spots. Is it 20 games? 20 games off the top of my head that these young guys.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, that's just under half a season. That's a fair whack of time to be able to really, really give guys a look and see what the next stage is for them. And actually, you know what? For some kids, there is no next stage. Sorry, Sunshine. The way things are in the Elite League at the moment, the way the level of quality is, you are not going to be good enough right now for us. Handshake, thank you. Keep the team tracksuit off your pot. But and maybe this, and like I said, maybe this is just my thing of having been around so many of them, and I see that talent up close, and it's felt for a very long time like the door of the ivory tower has been held shut on a lot of players, and I just feel like now that this is at least, it's not the biggest step, and like Marty said, you say it's a small step. It's not a small step. It's a much bigger step because it's showing some intent on the part of the Elite League to
Nope.
do something about it. I think they should have done it 5 years ago. Oh dear, did I drop out?
You froze there. I'm just going to bring back one point, and then we're going to let you go. Is the fact you said about it's 20 games. It's not insignificant. It's half a season. Yes, that's fine. But then you can choose your 20 games or whatever. You can choose who you want to play. And this is going to sound really disrespectful, but I'm basing this on the league table and the league table the last couple of years. If you're the Belfast Giants, if you're the Belfast Giants, you're the Sheffield Steelers, you're the Cardiff Devils, you're whatever, and you want to play these guys in games, then you're going to pick games against Dundee, Fife, Glasgow, the way they've been the last couple of years. But you flip that. If you're Fife, if you're Dundee, if you're Glasgow, if you're Manchester, there's no games you're going to take the chance. There's no 20 games you're going to take these chances on because you're fighting for your life. You're fighting for your playoff place. So while Belfast and the big teams might be able, inverted commas, please, but they might be able to go, yes, I can see what games we're going to put these guys in. I know what games we're going to take these chances on. The lower teams, they're not taking the chances, mate.
More for them. It's literally all I can say on that. It's more for them
because they need the wins, especially if you've got a small rink. The wins generate revenue because nobody wants to watch a losing team, and it's a business.
If you go back to the Super League, you won't have a team. So what do you want to do about that? We saw British hockey literally crumble, and it took the better part of a decade and a half to recover as a result. Like we can't sit here and magically expect things to happen. This is the thing. I don't like Taylor Swift and I don't like Harry Potter, so I don't believe in magic. And it feels like there's an element in the elite league that wants players to magically become good. John McBean didn't magically get good at Dundee. It was grafting away in Solway that made John McBean good. And then he stepped up and he took his opportunity. Like, these things don't happen by chance. It's work. And you're right. There's an element of the play here as well. And I know Davey said it in the past. Simon has said it in the past as well. The guys have got to be ready to do it. But I also do think that if players are stepping up, they, one, shouldn't have to be destitute and be paid a packet of Watsits and a handshake. And two, they should be used to their strengths. Like people talk, Kieran Brown is the prime example of this. Of course. Why is Kieran Brown going to step up and be a fourth line grinder in the elite league when his skill set is he's a really high end quality goal scorer? It's insane. Like, the lower teams will end up taking chances in those things because one, they kind of have to because they end up having injuries or things. Or the other thing is, of course, well, you know what? You want a two-way this year. You might get 2 shifts with the Sheffield. You might get 2 shifts with the Belfast. We'll give you 5 minutes. And that's attractive as well. If we want to talk about guys getting the opportunities to play, because those smaller teams will give guys those minutes because actually they sometimes find themselves in a position where they don't have 7 D men. Maybe they've got 5. Come on down, Archie Salisbury. Come on down. Well, I was going to say not come on down, Rhodes Mitchell-King. He's yours for the minute. And like I say, he's a highly talented man. But there's enough guys around. Like I say, it's the position of the outsider looking in and scratching my head and just going, this could be done better. And I realise that there are some eccentricities in this, and I realise there'll be some people banging their heads against the wall, just going, this guy with his free import hockey doesn't understand what he's talking about. Aside from the fact that, one, I think I've been around long enough where I've kind of seen enough chops and changes, and that's just in Basingstoke to have changes of league to see those kind of things happen. Like, if you stare at something in the same way forever and ever, it will always look the same. It will never improve. It will never change. We could be better, and like I say, if the elite league figures out what it wants to be in that process, and we say goodbye to this golden generation of players that's scooting away from GB because of age and other bits and pieces, then the potential is there. The potential is there. All of your two ways, if things go the right way, could be GB internationals within the next 7-8 years, and probably should be, but we won't know. Because the way ahead is kind of mired by this fog of it's not our job to do. 100% is your job to do, and it's their job to do as well.
It is. Well, I think we can back and forth this all night, mate, as you know, as we have many times. We do really appreciate you coming on. One last question before you let you go. The Basingstoke Bison, where are we?
At the moment, the situation with the rink in Basingstoke is that there is a new lease that is about to be signed between the council and Planet Ice. They've sort of set up a different entity to own this. Once it is signed, they have 3 months to start the work on the rink. It's meant to be taking, they reckon, somewhere between 9 and 12 months. I'm not going to hold my breath on that because make your own jokes about builders here. There is a meeting of Basingstoke and Dean Borough Council tomorrow to try and force the issue again on a temporary rink in Basingstoke, although that is there is a lot of disquiet amongst the work of some of the council officers regarding that at this moment in time. We will kind of know a bit more probably around the back end of my show tomorrow night, is the hope.
Anthony, always a pleasure. Good to see you. Banners on the wall at Banners OTW on Twitter. Get involved and watch it. He does some really good work there. And mate, we appreciate your time coming on.
Yep, bannersonthewall.wordpress.com. I will say tomorrow night on the show, because I do my show Wednesday nights at 8 on the Banners on the Wall YouTube channel. I have a very, very exclusive interview coming this week. I will reveal who that is tomorrow night on the show because it's pretty big. This one in the British hockey context is quite a big one. We
look forward to it, mate. Thanks for your time, bud.
Take care, gentlemen. Thank you.
Big thanks to Anthony Russell for his time. Always good chatting hockey with him. Known him a long time, and I always enjoyed it. He's a passionate man, a passionate fan, and passionate about the British game. So that's always good. We appreciate him coming on. Right, we're going to fire through this, guys. Bit of news. Dops, Josh Batch got a 1-game suspension and a fine as the aggressor in an altercation against the Flames with Daniel Catenacci, who also got a fine for his slash. Did any boys see the altercation? Go on, Davy.
Just completely disagree with the call, but it's made now. Like, the guy comes in, they obviously ask Bats to get involved. Bats gives him a big slash to tie up. Maybe one wants to get away a bit more than the other. They fall over, they have a wee hug. I think it's a harsh suspension, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, Dobbs coming in, and also we don't get any sort of video description of this unless it's 3 games or more.
That's
So, yeah,
that's a weird flex now to do that,
weird.
because
That's weird.
unless it's just a time thing or a resource thing.
Time of resource potentially, but it also just leaves us looking at Twitter for clips to see what's going on and no actual real description of what's going on.
Yeah, well, I see our good friends at 4,000 and counting, talking about it there during the week on their Twitter and saying, 1 step forward, 2 steps back kind of thing. And I can't help but feel that there's a little bit in that.
In the cup this week, it was 4 points for Danny Stewart's New Panthers side, shutting out the Storm in Altrincham on Friday night before a 4-3 home victory over the Flames, while Dundee went into another OT period for the second consecutive night on Sunday, this time taking victory over Fife in a shootout. And at the Spectrum, the Flames were soundly beaten 6-2 by the Devils. Elite League competition carried on this week. Corey Nielsen is still awaiting his first competitive victory, with the Devils and the Blaze defeating the Clan for an 0-4 start for them. While on Saturday night, the Storm took the points in an 11-goal thriller at Fife Ice Arena. Lauren Ullett scoring the game-winning goal with only 18 seconds left on the game clock to make it a 6-5 win. And finally, boys, listen, it's not often we do this, okay? But sometimes an achievement is so unexpected and so great that we have to swallow our pride and congratulate them. So it's a very well done to Team Harry Curry and Gabe Bast for taking the win at yesterday's Belfast Giants Golf Day, and also to Kieran Long, who got the long drive as well. Didn't expect that, so swallow my pride on that. I didn't think Kieran Long was a very good golfer, but it turns out he hit the longest drive, and that's sometimes you just have to swallow your pride and congratulate them on that. So well done to the boys. One game this weekend, as we worked out earlier in the show, it's on Sunday at 5 p.m. It's away at Dundee at the Dundee Ice Arena, and you can get that on Dundee Stars TV if you're not making the trip over. Any other business, gentlemen?
Go ahead, Marty. Sorry, go on.
I'll go after yourself.
I was just going to, I don't know whether you've anything queued up there, Paddy, about James Glover and his trip to Italy.
I'm just sorting that out now. I should have had it sorted out before, but I didn't.
I referenced the young Mark Morrison earlier in the show. Big fan of his, and obviously his kids, Caitlin and Justin, doing really well there in the World Skate Games or something was it called? James Glover obviously out there. I talk about Jackie Moon of Dundee Stars, but Glover was out there coaching and washing kit and doing everything you'd expect of James there to make sure everybody was well equipped to get out on the ice. I don't know, or on the rink, sorry, how they actually finished up. 14th place. 14th
place in the world rankings. It seems that it was a really good trip out in Italy for the World Skate Games, and well done to him and his Team Ireland side. They seem to have had a great week and a great competition to be part of. So yeah, congratulations to them. It's like one of those things. It's the thing that, like, Marty, maybe you know more than most as well. It's just like, obviously with ice being limited, a lot of these guys do play roller, or they do play, and it's still a good way to get involved in the game.
Yeah, I played in nines from 2006 right up to 2020. Yeah, and it's so accessible now all over the island of Ireland. There's rinks in Cork, there was in Longford, Portadown, Bangor. There's teams throughout, whether it be Galway, Kilkenny. So that it's big. It's a big game, and there's a lot of players who play ice and both. Obviously, we've got the Irish. It's a Nigel Smeaton Memorial Cup we play up in the Ice Bowl. It's essentially our Irish league. A lot of boys who play in that then would also play a lot of inline roller hockey, and they're making weekends of it now, whether they're down to Cork for games on Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, it's good sport. It's good sport. Good sport to be involved with. I just kind of taking a back step from them, just back on the ice again.
The other thing from this week as well, and I know he's off sunning himself in Portugal, but it was a great photograph, David. I don't know if you saw it as well. Of the Dundonald Red Wings, all in their shirts at the game at the weekend, and says in amongst them just a bit of hockey heritage from the from Dundonald Expo.
Bit of nostalgia. That's even probably a little before Marty's time, is it, Marty? That's going right back into the very sort of 86, 87, 88 sort of time, isn't it? So one of the first very first guys to step out into Dundonald was Bass sponsored them, Marty, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, Bass Red Wings.
Back in the day. Yes, that would have been who I would have went and watched on a Saturday night. But yeah, that wasn't yesterday.
Go on, Coach Television Neil, Coach Russell's waiting for the story. Come on.
Nah, buy the book if you want to read about it.
Any other business, boys?
Yeah, it's my dad's 70th birthday today. He's out in Biarritz, France, with my mum. So just want to wish him a big 70th happy birthday.
Brilliant. Biarritz is lovely as well. It's a beautiful part of the world.
Southwest of France, yeah. One other thing, I bumped into an old work colleague, Michelle Cardwell. Apologies, I don't know what her married name is, but I met her husband, John, and just after the game, I was walking to the arena, and unfortunately, John had lost 80% vision last year, but he would still go to the games, and he was telling me that, I think you touched on this, Davey, it was says a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago that he's actually able to listen in to the commentary whilst being in the arena. So it was actually good to get some feedback from him where he was, sometimes a lot of people would say, oh, there's too much play-by-play. What's the point in play-by-play when watching the webcast, because we can see what's happening? He was saying how essential it is, and he was also able to tell me that with his 20% vision, he can see, players, we can't distinguish who they are, and then kind of if there's a goal or if there's a penalty or whatever, and then we recap it, he knows then maybe the person who's the back post, say for example Picanich was back post, putting the puck home, or someone slash, he's then able to relate, and it gets them more involved in the game. So it was really nice to kind of hear that feedback, and then also just to hear also what he would like. He wants to maybe us to chat about a little bit more. So sometimes you forget that you're actually commentating for some people in the arena. You always kind of just think it's just for like yourselves at home on the whether it be computers or whether it be iPads, etc. So I got some really good feedback with him, and yeah, it's just nice to kind of be aware of that.
Do you know what? Like, it's a brilliant thing as well, and I know that they do it in football quite a bit, and a lot of the stadiums. I remember going with our good friend Mark Hitchcock. I think maybe it was his uncle or it was somebody that his dad was always with him, and who was blind and went to the Donny Rovers games, but was always listening to the commentary. And you get that sort of, because you're there, you're in the arena, you're part of it, you're getting the atmosphere there, but you're also more tuned into what's going on because you've got the commentary, you've got you doing the play-by-play in your ears, and that's a fantastic addition. It's really good, and it's really nice to hear, mate. So yeah, more power to the elbow, more of that. I think that's a really, really good thing. Dave, anything more from you? No, all done. Right, well, as I said, Dundee against Belfast in the Challenge Cup on Sunday at 5 p.m. at Dundee Ice Arena, or you get it from our good friends at Dundee Stars TV. Big thanks to Jeff Baum, George Awada, Drydn Dow, and of course Anthony Russell. Big thanks to Mr. McJimsey and Mr. Martin. We always a pleasure. You get us at AVFTB on Twitter, on Facebook, on your normal podcast providers, on YouTube, and all sorts of usual things. Podcast at kingdomofthegiants.com, www.kingdomofthegiants.com for all the other stuff. And I think that's about it. Thanks, boys, and thanks to everybody who's been tuning in and sending messages and all this sort of stuff down the side. We really do appreciate your input, and wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey, and we'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.